Today I choose to follow you.
Good morning. It's Tuesday, the 24th of January, and I trust that you got a decent cup of coffee to start the day. If you have your Bibles, turn to Exodus chapter 15, verse 3. Exodus 15, verse 3. For 400 years, the Israelites were in captivity in Egypt, and life was just carrying on until suddenly blood, hail, locusts, darkness, death, the plague after plague descended on Egypt, and eventually Pharaoh released his grip on the people and he let them go. Only for a short time. He chased after them, and pretty soon he caught up to them at the banks of the Red Sea, and he thought he had them pinned between the Red Sea and his army that would descend on them. And we know that the Lord then wiped out the whole of the Egyptian army that chased after the Israelites, as well as their leader, the Pharaoh. And on the other side, can you think yourself in the minds of the Israelites who had been slaves, who had this slave mentality where they grew in number and the Pharaoh began to fear them, and so they subjugated them, they made them their slaves. And these people not only couldn't decide, they weren't free as to what they were to do. They were told what to do every day. They had to make bricks, they had to lug them, they had to be part of the Pharaoh's building plan, but they couldn't even decide where to live and what to do with their lives. They were totally under the subjugation of the Pharaoh and the Pharaoh's army for 400 years, generation after generation after generation of living with a mindset of, we are slaves in this land. And suddenly they stand, I guess, in awe, in silence, on the other side of the Red Sea, and they see that this whole army has been wiped out, this whole army that the rest of the known world at the time feared, the strength of the Egyptian army, and yet God wiped them out in, firstly, a series of plagues that broke his people free, and then he kills them in the river. Listen to verse 3 in the Song of Moses as he stands on the other side of the river. The Lord is a warrior. The Lord is his name. And you know, in churches, a lot of the time we sing about gentle Jesus, we sing about the loving God, and we kind of do the kumbaya thing. But we need to realize who we're dealing with. Ons moet onthou met wie het ons te doen in die samelewing. Ons God is nie daar ver weg in die wolke, en al wat hy, sy doel in die ewigheid is om mense, engele te maak en hulle muziekinstrumente te gee, dat hulle kan net, they can play harps on the clouds. That's not our God. That's not a picture that, the other thing that we say about God at times when we've lost a loved one is, he needed flowers and he came and picked the best one. Man, God's not into flowers and harps, and the Lord is a warrior. The Lord is his name. Mag God groot in jou hart vandag, maar maak die regte God. Kry die regte beeld van God. Baie keer dan voel manne in die kerk asof hulle nie hoort nie. Want ons sing al hierdie kumbaya en ons doen al hierdie gevoelens goed. Maar eintlik dien ons 'n kruisman God, die Here. Die Here is sy naam. And I want to just waken that in you this morning. So life is tough. Life needs to be lived to the full. Life needs to be taken, and it needs to be shaken, and it needs to be passionately attacked. And God is with you when you do that. Sometimes we fall into the meek and mild and the humble and the gentle. But as I've said before so many times, what is humility? Humility is having the right picture of yourself, the picture that God has of you, with your personality, with your traits, with your gifts, with your talents. That's who God sees you, and you need to see yourself as God sees you, and then to remember it's just not always about you. That's humility. Humility is not being a floor mat. Humility is not allowing people just to walk over you and being a nothing. The Lord is a warrior. The other translation, the Lord is a man of war. The Lord is his name. And I'm glad he's my Lord. I trust he's your Lord as well. And this Tuesday, don't go look for fights. But sometimes it's not always right to back away. Sometimes we need to stand up. A whole army after 400 years of silence. Remember, I said to you, plague after plague, and then eventually death, annihilation of a fearsome army, a worthy opponent. Allow the Lord to lead you into this day, and may you have the courage of your faith as you follow. The Lord is a warrior. The Lord is his name. Have a wonderful, wonderful Tuesday. I'll see you, Lord willing, tomorrow.